Good afternoon. I'm Josh Lipsky, Senior Director of the Atlantic Council's GeoEconomics Center, and I'm pleased to welcome you to today's event with His Excellency, Dr. Thani bin Ahmed Zeyoudi, in collaboration with the empowerME initiative at the Atlantic Council's Rafiq Hariri Center for the Middle East. This event is part of the Atlantic Council's IMF World Bank Week meetings programs, which convenes finance ministers and central bank governors from around the world to discuss the challenges facing the global economy in 2023 and beyond. And this series complements the GeoEconomics Center's Bretton Woods 2.0 project, which examines the future of the Bretton Woods system and works to reimagine governance of the international financial system for the modern global economy. It is fitting, then, to host Dr. Zeyoudi as part of this series. As you will hear in a moment, he has extensive experience in renewable energy, and it is forward thinking, which the UAE, like many countries, require at this moment. The UAE finds itself in a complex situation, in a series of global crises shaped by increasing geopolitical tensions, fallout from the war in Ukraine, high inflation, banking instability. The UAE is trying to address these challenges, as we will discuss today, by working to diversify its economy, including in production of high tech, and emphasizing the potential of fintech. Moderating today's discussion will be Dr. Racha Helwa, Director of the empowerME initiative, and if I may say so, a brilliant economist who has worked at the highest levels of policymaking. So Racha, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Josh. It's a pleasure to be here. Welcome, Your Excellency. His Excellency Dr. Thani bin Ahmed Zeyoudi was appointed by the UAE Minister of State as the UAE Minister of State for Foreign Trade, following the new UAE government structure in July 2020. He had held the position of Minister of Climate Change and Environment previously, and prior to assuming his current ministerial position, His Excellency Zeyoudi served as the permanent representative of the UAE to the International Renewable Energy Agency, ARENA, and director of the Department of Energy Affairs and Climate Change at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation. His Excellency Zeyoudi holds a PhD in Strategy, Program, and Project Management from Schema Business School in France. Your Excellency, it's a great honor to have you here with us today. We have a large number of viewers who are watching us live now and are so keen to listen to you. So let's start. So global trade, that's an interesting area. In recent years, global trade has been increasing, especially in the service industry. It hit about 70% of the world global trade so far in services versus goods. However, global trade in the last year slowed down and stagnated since the start of 2023. So how has this slowdown affected the UAE so far in terms of export opportunities?
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. And thank you, Josh. Thank you, Racha, for the welcome. I am very happy to be talking to you all here today about trade, a subject that is right at the heart of economics, finance, and foreign policy. And because of this, I do believe that trade is antidote to slow growth. The global economy is still reeling from the impact of COVID and the effects of the conflicts in Ukraine. And we believe that COVID was a major reset. And this moment provides a great opportunity. In some ways, it feels like the period after the global financial crisis in 2008. That was the time when the business world changed. Fast-moving companies rose to take advantages and challenge the established order. This is a time when fast-moving nations can rise and help to redefine the global trade landscape and change the global economy as we know it. But if the global trading system is slow to change and free trade agreements takes years to finalize, how can I be so confident? You may be surprised to learn that the comprehensive economic partnership agreements and trade agreements we're signing with the countries across the world takes an average of 6 months to complete. From Latin America to Africa, East Europe, and West Asia, we're establishing a new network of opportunities, and we are finding many willing partners. We're laying the groundwork for a new era of inclusive trade. We already held a central position in global supply chain, but with our SIBA program, we're transitioning from a logistic hub into a supply chain nerve center. We're coming up with the first anniversary with our trade agreement with India, a nation that will be the third largest economy by 2027 and a center of global growth over the next 3 decades. This was a game changer for our SIVA program. We have signed deals with Israel, the startup nation, with Indonesia, an ambitious high-growth nation and key to halal economy. And we have also signed with Turkey, concluded terms with Georgia, and we're talking and almost done with Cambodia, and working with Kenya, Mauritius, Vietnam, and many other nations. The UAE is already the largest trading partner in the MENA's region for 25 countries, and we're a gateway to Africa. The UAE is an essential link in the South-South corridor, and we're aiming to be the world's global market. In the last 2 decades, the UAE has positioned itself as a key trade enabler. And in the next 2 decades, we aim to connect the new centers of growth across the world. We believe in the pursuit of growth. While others talk about deglobalization, we're focused on economic expansion. The UAE has grown by 20 times over the past 50 years, and we will continue to find ways to increase this growth rate. 2022 was a record year for us in our foreign trade numbers. We surpassed $600 billion in non-oil foreign trade for the first time, a growth with 17% in comparison to the year before. Re-exports grew 14% to $163 billion. We're now leading global re-export of rice, the 3rd largest exporter of diamond, the 5th largest re-exporter of coffee and tea. And as you all know, we don't produce any of those products. Exports are now nearly 17% of our total trade, up from 11% just 5 years ago. This is facilitated by our state-of-art infrastructure, which is expected to generate growth in our logistics growth market of nearly 9% annually to reach $31.4 billion by 2026. Our successful handling of pandemic gave us the opportunity to accelerate developments in key areas. We're focused on global collaboration around vaccination programs, pioneering technologies such as AI and digital transformations to support business community. We're seeing a huge growth in FDI, private health, and liquidity into our market. The UAE is one of the top 10 countries for attracting global talent and the first in the safety index. As we look forward to the future, we're focusing on new sectors such as fintech, agri-tech, healthcare, e-commerce, which for sure will support the core competencies of manufacturing, logistics, and trade. We want to be the global meeting point for all kinds of capital, financial, technological, and human. Trade drives positive outcomes, but our SIVA program is not just limited to the movement of goods. It's also creating an important new pathways for innovation. It's establishing new avenues for investment, joint ventures, capacity building, and knowledge sharing. And as part of this, we continue to bang the drum for more inclusive trade that focus on driving progress on green supply chains, supply chain resilience, and trade technology. In the next 12 months, the UAE will be hosting UNCTAD's 8th World Investment Forum in Abu Dhabi in October, the WTO's 13th Ministerial Conference in February next year, as well as COP28 this November and December. We see these events as a great opportunity to refresh, to redefine the current trade dialogue. And when it comes to looking into the future and the role that the trade can play, we are at a critical moment. Just as Josh has written about the need for a Bretton Woods 2.0, there is a consensus that we need urgent reform for multilateral trading system. I began by saying trade is right at the intersection of economics, finance, and foreign policy. And because of this, modernizing trade would address multiple issues at a stroke. We must not let this chance pass. We are actively working with the World Economic Forum on a trade tech initiative that will inject more technology into the global trading system. But why we're doing this? Global adoption of electronic shipping documents alone would save the world $4 billion. The scope for tech-enabled customs, data-driven supply chains, and digitalized trade finance is huge. They would enhance developing countries' access to the global trading system and begin the process of decarbonizing supply chains. These are just some of the many breakthroughs waiting to happen. The UAE has the opportunity to help deliver change, but we must work together to ensure that MC13 is an action-oriented and results-driven meeting. Thank you for the opportunity to talk to you all today. Let me say that there's no more exciting time than now to be a Minister of Trade, and I'm looking forward to answering your question. Racha, back to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for this very comprehensive introduction. And I know that one of the main policy objectives of the UAE is economic diversification, with a focus on technology and innovation sectors. However, so far, the oil and gas sector still accounts 30% of the UAE's GDP, 41% of public revenues, and 26% of merchandise exports. That's excluding re-exports. So what are the main highlights of the government's economic diversification strategy, and what are the high priority non-oil-based sectors which the government is trying to promote right now?
Our economic, thank you so much, Racha, for the question. Our economic diversification agenda has been ongoing for decades. So the hydrocarbon sector now accounts for less than 28% of our national GDP and is coming down every year. We're talking about reduction in the last 5 decades from around 58% in 1975 to 27, 28 in the last 2 years. Our new economic roadmap, which was revealed in 2021, is designed to accelerate these efforts by enhancing the nation's global competitiveness, developing knowledge-based economy, positioning the country as a global hub for innovation and enterprise investments. We're very optimistic that there is a huge opportunity to catalyze the growth, and while we do this, we can modernize our trading system, make it more fairer, more inclusive, greener, and more efficient. So a set of initiatives and programs has been launched a year and a half ago. SEPA was part of them, where we're going to be signing more than 27 agreements, having access to more than 95% of the total global trade. This is going to inject into the growth of our GDP at least by 3 to 4.4% by 2023. Re-export as well is another agenda which was just endorsed by the cabinet 3 weeks ago. It's one of the key strategic driver for our economy, how we're going to bring more added value through the commodities and services that pass from the UAE, and how we're going to capitalize on the 400 points that we're connected to through the world on logistics and ports and airports, where we're adding value to those commodities and services. Export is very linked to the manufacturing. 2 years ago as well, we launched a very comprehensive strategy in our manufacturing. We're aiming to take it to 300 billion dirhams by 2030, where we're key focus on the productivity of the sector, bringing the state-of-art technologies for industrial revolution into the sector, ensuring that this is complementing the exports plan and export growth that we're having in the UAE. For sure, this is as well linked to the FDI attraction. We're one of the most attractive destination in the region. When it comes to FDI, there was a growth in the last few years. We're ranked 17th globally when it comes to the FDI, and we're going to pursue ensuring that the ecosystem, the business environments are very friendly, and for sure this is as well linked to the talent retention and tractions, talent availability in the market. And that's why we revamped most of our immigration and residency system to ensure that people are coming and settling down and passing some of their skills and talents to the Emiratis and to the people who are living here. So they add to this growth development plan that we're having. Last point that's want to hit here, services. We've been ranked globally 12 when it comes to the export of services last year, with total export value exceeding $154 billion. It means that there is a huge opportunity in the service sector as well. Here we're talking about education, professional services, IT, and many others. And for sure, this is complementing the logistics capabilities and hospitality skills that we have in the UAE. So there's so many exciting things are happening, and we're going to continue focusing on delivering those agenda and projects to ensure hitting the KPIs that we set for ourselves.
Thank you, Your Excellency. And with COP28 being just around the corner, what is the UAE's plan to steer the conversation during COP? And what is the Trade Ministry plan in particular in the area of promoting green energy and environmentally friendly businesses and trade?
This year is going to be a very special year for the COP globally because it's the first global stock take year where countries has to report back where they reach and what is going to be next. And at the same time, we want to show that there is a progress happening when it comes to Paris Agreement. So that is going to be one of our focus for sure. We're going to tackle some of the main challenges that face the region, and now it's spreading out around the world when it comes to food security, water scarcity, energy transitions. Those are going to be an integral part for the most of the discussion. The focus as well is going to be how we're going to institutionalize the finance, how we're going to move forward on the real implementation of the mobilizing the financial needed for different aspects of the climate change sphere. We're talking about losses and damages, mitigations, adaptations, etc. And we want to bring the most critical factor here, bringing the business and the private sector communities into the solution, where they have the technology, they have the talent, they have the financial power, so we can work jointly in reducing the consequences of the climate change that we're seeing globally. The inclusiveness is going to be critical, and this is what we're going to focus on. When it comes to the trade, etc., this is going to be as well complementing the work which we're doing as a host of MC13, where the green topic is going to be included when it comes to the logistics, the greening of the trade, having more resilience when it comes to supply chain, and for sure educating, guiding, and pushing the private sector to take in consideration sustainability into their business plan and the work that they're doing.
Thank you, Your Excellency. And I think Josh already mentioned in the introduction that the UAE economy is very open and very diversified. It's been a long time, much ahead of many other countries in the region. So the UAE has been strongly committed to the rules-based multilateral trading system, actively participates in the WTO negotiations and joint initiatives. At the same time, the UAE is also a member of the Gulf Cooperation Council, GCC, and the Pan-Arab Free Trade Area. In September 2021, the UAE announced plans to bilaterally pursue comprehensive economic agreements with 8 countries, including India, which you just mentioned, Your Excellency, South Korea, the United Kingdom, and Turkey on trade and FDI. So multilateral versus regional versus bilateral trade integration. Which track you think works best to promote the trade policy objectives of the UAE, and why?
Well, we remain strong advocates for the multilateralism, basically because it's the most successful model that we're seeing. And it's very clear that the global trade has been a catalyst for developments and growth, job creation for the past 7 decades, 6.5 decades. And we see no compelling case for the protectionism, which we're seeing nowadays going around the world. Foreign trade is a cornerstone for the economic agenda. It has been, and it will continue being one of the main pillars for the economic agenda. And as I said during my remarks, it's the best antidote to slowing any impact on or consequences on the growth of our economies. So we're very keen in building the partnerships with like-minded nations. We're going to continue with the multilateralism for sure, but at the same time, we don't want to put all of our eggs in one basket. We want to diversify. We want to make sure that we're building the alliances, we're joining new alliances, we're having different and alternative solutions in case something happens disturbing the supply chain. So my answer: we don't prefer one rules over other, and we have to ensure that we have a backup for any track or routes that we're choosing. When it comes to the agreements as well. We're pursuing the comprehensive economic partnership agreements with the negotiation takes less than or an average of 6 months. We did the first one with India less than 3 months. We did the second one with Israel in 4.5 months. With Indonesia, it took us around 8 months. With Turkey, it took us 6 months, and with Georgia, it less than as well 4.5 months. So that is the speed which we're doing, and the message that we always send across. If we're going to wait 4 years, the global economy is going to be changing. And why we're agreeing on something now, which is going to be concluded in 4, 5, or 10 years from now, does not make sense, because the situation and the circumstances are going to be totally changed. And if we wait for that long, we have to revise as well the terms of reference, the main driver for those agreements, so we ensure that we take in consideration the latest happening in the market. When it comes to GCC, we're one of the most active nations on the block, and we're going to continue doing so. We're participating in many of the negotiation, and it's the usual case with any group negotiation. It takes longer than the individual one, which is understandable, and we're going to continue pushing that so we can have agreements or free trade agreements through our colleagues in GCC.
Thank you, Your Excellency. And Dubai has long had a large Russian expat community. There are over 40,000 Russian expats among 100,000 Russian speakers in the UAE as a whole, with many in Dubai itself. This expat community is well established and is heavily involved in the economy, especially in the tech and fintech sectors. Non-oil trade between Russia and the UAE has also increased by almost 57% since the invasion of Ukraine. While the UAE is keen to promote its immediate business interests, there's also mounting pressure to take a harder stance in terms of compliance with international sanctions on Russia. So how can the government balance out these two very conflicting positions?
Let me just clarify something here, Dr. Racha. When it comes to the migration of the billionaires to the UAE in the last 2 years, we had more than 4,000 billionaires move to the UAE, and we were ranked one of the top 5 destinations as a favorable destination for many of those high wealthy people to the UAE, including the Russian. But we saw many of the movements from the Indians, movements from Europeans, movements from the Australians, as well as the Russians to the UAE. When it comes to Russia itself, the growth last year in our bilateral was 95% in comparison to the year before, which means that we almost doubled our bilateral trade, non-oil trade with Russia. When it comes to the applying and complying with the international sanctions, as well as the process of reviewing the KYC, etc., I can assure you that they go through the whole process similar to anyone who's coming to the country, and we adhere to the international regulation and policies, and we're going to continue doing so. We don't jeopardize our system to attract certain nationality against others, unless they go through the rigid system of review and clearance before they start their businesses.
Thank you, Your Excellency. And while exports have been on the rise in the UAE as a whole over the past years, the Emirates is still very dependent on the outside world for agricultural and fishery products. The agriculture, forestry, and fishing sector remain relatively small at 1% of GDP in the UAE, and is also expected to be significantly affected by climate change. So what are the main highlights of the food security strategy of the UAE in light of the country's high dependence on food imports?
Well, we import most of our food from around the world. As you said, Russia, more than 85% from the food comes from abroad, and basically because of the scarcity of water, the high and harsh weather condition that we have in the UAE, and at the same time, because of the climate condition in the whole region. So it's not only the UAE, but also the whole region, and we've been heavily dependent on a global supply chain when it comes to food products and commodities. But let me tell you the stories of what we have done in the last 15 years. We've been building very resilient system to reduce the consequences of any reduction or any implications, any disturbance of food supply globally. We're one of the main global investors when it comes to food and agriculture investments. We're having investment in more than 70 countries with a huge volume covering the whole value chain of food production when it comes to cultivations, bringing the best practices, best technologies, high water efficient technologies to wherever we invest, either in Asia or East Europe, or even in Europe and South part of America. And now we're working heavily as well with many of our colleagues in Africa. By bringing those technologies, we're reducing the dependence on reducing the consumption of water, improving the efficiency of energy usages on those platforms. And then we work onto the whole as well chain of movements of these products when it comes to the cooling, packaging, storages, movements to logistics, the transportations, the storages here in the UAE through the silos and different warehouses that we have, as well as the distribution from the UAE to the region, as well as to the globe. We don't forget that we're as well bringing the best practices and best technology to the UAE and trying to apply it on a larger scale. We've been using some of the technologies from US, some of the technologies from Asia, and when it comes to the horizontal and vertical greenhouses, the closed systems, etc. When we've been successful on that until the price become very competitive in the sector. The beauty about our work when it comes to food security, that everything's available in our market. It's very affordable. We've been not affected that much with the inflation that goes around the world because of the diversity in our supply and ensuring that there is a sustainable supply and very affordable prices to our people. And at the same time, with our investments, which can be directing some of the commodities to our markets and to the countries which is a need for that. Picking on the wheat, because under some of the grains issues, which was an issue in the last year as well, we've been not much affected with that, basically because we anticipated the issue with Ukraine and Russia, and we managed to secure different sources of supply of wheats from different countries. And because of our strategic relation with some of the countries like India, they did not stop the movements of wheats to the UAE, although they started some of the measures to slow down or to reduce their export of wheat. So there are so many aspects and so many measures which has been taken, and I can assure you that we're managing it so far in very good manner, and we're going to continue doing international investment, bringing the best practices and technologies to the UAE, and we welcome any technology that is available to be tested here and to be taken to a larger scale in the UAE.
Thank you, Your Excellency. And while we speak about technology, in one of your previous statements, you mentioned that cryptocurrency will play a major role in the UAE's global trade future. So what plan does the government have to streamline the ecosystem for crypto in terms of governance and regulations? And generally speaking, how significant is the contribution of e-commerce in the economy of the UAE?
Well, there are many aspects to cryptocurrencies here. First of all, we're trying to develop our own cryptocurrency system through the central bank. I don't want to speak about the central bank because it's a project which has been led by them directly, but it's a project. It's a topic which we don't want to be late at, and we want to make sure that the infrastructure, the governance are ready to move quickly when it comes to this topic. The other aspects of attracting the international cryptocurrencies to the country, and we do understand it's one of the challenging period now, and has been in the last few months for the sector. But what we want to ensure is that as a nation, we do have this engagement with the private sector, building the right institutions and policies and regulations and providing them the right ecosystem so they can grow from the UAE and have an impact on the other conventional sector that we have in the UAE, because it's going to happen regardless in years from now or so. So we want to be one of the early introducer of this technology to the UAE. That as well has been done in close coordination with our colleagues at the Security and the Commodity Authority, which looks after the sector. And we've been testing and investing some of the technologies, not only in the UAE, but also globally. When it comes to the contribution of the digitalization of our economy, it's more than 11% so far. And e-commerce is a major driver for the next era of trade. And we want to make sure we're hosting the right technology, we're having the right talent, and we're having the right laws to accommodate the futuristic aspects of trade. So again, we don't want to be late at the game. We want to be an early introducer of those technologies, and we want to be one of the main shapers of the sector.
Right. And also, as the UAE is always trying to be a pioneer in social development, I'd like to speak about women empowerment. Women empowerment, as you know, helps promote sustainable development and economic growth. And recent IMF research has consistently underscored the benefits of gender equality, including greater productivity and financial stability. What are the practical steps taken by the government to promote women participation in the economy, and which sectors do you think have made better progress than others?
Well, Racha, it's an excellent question, and there is no nation can hope to progress while underutilizing the talents of half its population. Women make up half of our National Federal Council in the UAE, and we really have a proud legacy of empowering women in all areas of our societies. We're proud to be the most progressive nation for women's rights as well in the Arab world. In terms of some of the numbers here, in 2012, the UAE became the first Arab country to have introduced mandatory female presence in board rooms. And as well, we have more than 56% of STEM graduates are women. We launched the dedicated Gender Balance Council, looking after their policies, the work which they're doing, and how can we be more active as well in women inclusion. In 2018, there was a 50-50 gender parity in the Federal National Council, and 2021 as well, it was mandated to equally pay women for equal work. Our graduates and joiners of universities, most of them are women, and most of the ones now as well that you see them around are women leading some of the key roles around the country. Our permanent representatives in the UN is Her Excellency Dana. The one who's leading as well our youth is Her Excellency Shamma. Our climate champion for COP28, Her Excellency Razan. So women are leading most of critical sector in the UAE, and we're going to continue capitalizing on their talents and ensuring that they're an integral part of this development and growth in the country.
Thank you, Your Excellency. This is very exciting. And I know all the names you mentioned are really pioneering in the field, especially in the climate change field. And we're very much looking forward to witnessing their success at COP in a few months. And, you know, with the increased global financial insecurity, some countries from the region are looking now to diversify their forex basket, while the UAE currency is still pegged towards the US dollar. Is forex diversification something that the UAE is thinking about, and how?
Well, we've been seeing this in the media lately a lot as well. When it comes to the dirhams pegging to dollars is going to continue. It's not it's not an overnight decision to depegging the dirhams from the dollars. We're developing our annual budget based on the dollars and the revenue that we're getting from based on the beginning with the dollar. Are we exploring? Absolutely, because we're seeing many of the countries are exploring this, and they're testing their systems and they're testing their financial systems. But are we going to apply it? It's in early stages. It's all under studies. Nothing has been moved yet, and I can assure you that we're still going to continue with the same system that we're having.
Thank you, Your Excellency. And as we all know, the UAE is home to a thriving startup ecosystem with numerous incubators, accelerators, and venture capital funds supporting the development of new businesses and technologies. And other countries in the region are also competing in this area. So what are the policies that the government of the UAE is taking to protect its market share, and particularly to promote business startups in the high value-added industries, including technology and innovation?
Well, the UAE has been ranked first globally when it comes to best ecosystem for startups and entrepreneurs in the last 2 years. And we surpassed some of the countries around the world like Netherlands, Lithuania, and many other ambitious nations' ecosystem. This gives us the encouragements to continue working very hard to attract more and ensure that the ecosystem and the business environments are very friendly to startup and entrepreneurs. When it comes to the policies and the work which we're doing, it's a very holistic approach that we're taking. Here we're thinking about the initiations, the startups, and then the skill-ups and the scale-ups. So it's very thorough a process which takes those startups and entrepreneurs so we can ensure that they are treated the right way which they deserve. And we're going to continue looking after them until they become unicorns and grow to the global market. So we worked on some of the skill-up academies. We worked up with international private sector and multilateral companies in scale-up platforms, which offer them all the needed supports and the accessibilities when it comes to products and services. Some of the digital supports which were as well provided to those companies. We as well at the foreign trade sector at the Ministry of Economies came up with initiatives called Next Gen FDI program, where we're bringing the whole ecosystem in one place, provided to those high-tech entrepreneurs where they can fast-track their initiation of the process here in the country, as well as talking to the right stakeholders in the UAE so they can directly start with very strong foundation in the UAE and grow up from this interaction.
Thank you, Your Excellency. And with the long-established free zones regime in the UAE, where foreign ownership is allowed at 100%, this continues to play an important role in the UAE's economy. But how far have free zones helped promote trade and investment so far without creating at the same time market distortions?
Well, let me say something here, Racha, because in 2021, so 2 years from now, we revamped our company law and we allowed 100% ownership in the UAE, even online. That was a very strong message to the investors that we care about their investments and they can as well do businesses and own their investment 100%, even if they're doing it on land. When it comes to the free zones, we do have more than 40 free zones in the UAE, which has been playing an integral role on the trade, as well as the bringing many of the talented people to the UAE, as well as working and supporting indirectly the service sector in the UAE. The availability of those free zones have been critical for us because they've been acting as the main of the supplier of many of the commodities whenever it's needed, but at the same time they've been assisting on diversifying and building this complex logistical capabilities here in the country. So it was one of the factors that played a role on our re-export capabilities. As you all may know, the UAE is the 5th largest re-export hub in the world, and the free zones played a major role on this global ranking when it comes to the re-export capabilities that we gain here in the country. I spoke about some of the numbers in the UAE when it comes to rice, tea, coffee, gold, diamond. It's all because of the excellent and high efficient free zones that we have in the country, and it has been as well become a catalyst to many of the changes that we applied on the online because of what we applied in the free zones, and we took some of the experience and applied it in a larger scale on online.
Thank you, Your Excellency. And I know that the UAE has massive potential for solar energy exporting. However, capabilities are still lacking in terms of energy storage for purposes of re-exporting. How do you manage to build the ecosystem for energy storage and exports at the same time, so that you can use your resources not only to feed the local market, but also to provide energy for the outside world?
Well, when it comes to clean energy, our story is very interesting because in early 2000, we started thinking about the peaceful nuclear program as well as the renewable energy investments, and we managed to do a major transformation in the investment of both. Now, when it comes to the peaceful nuclear program, it's one of the main suppliers for our baseload power in the country. And when it comes to renewable energy, in the UAE, we're becoming one of the fastest growing nation when it comes to having a huge jump in the contribution of renewable energy in the last decade globally, because of the huge investments and the model which we applied either through the direct investments or through the public-private partnership here in the UAE. When it comes to the prices or the producing power, the power from renewables, we're getting one of the cheapest power production from solar globally, and we're going to continue competing with our own numbers on that. On exporting the power globally, we have investments in more than 70 countries, either through direct investment or through developments in renewable energy. And we applied some of the interesting technologies that suits those environments, with investments reach $50 billion. And we're going to continue having another $50 billion for the upcoming 9 years until 2030. Our ultimate goal is to reach 200 gigawatts by 2030, and we're going to continue exploring and applying the right technology. This is a small story here. One of the projects which I worked on back in 2014-15, we, as part of our development projects in the Pacific Islands, in one of the islands, they experience on a yearly basis hurricanes. So we were afraid of the destruction of the projects when the hurricane comes to those islands, and in particular Samau. So what we did, we worked with the French technology in bringing those wind turbines, which can be put down during the hurricanes, and when the hurricanes is over, they can put it up. It's part of the tailoring of the technology to the need of the markets wherever we do either investments or development projects. So this is a message which we're sending across. Technology can play a major role on energy exports globally when it comes to clean energy, and we welcome any technology that we can pilot, work with in the sphere. Storage is still in development. It's not only in the UAE but also globally. But what we do, we pilot, we try, we learn, and then we grow in the UAE and we grow globally. And it's another open invitation to the all audience. If they have the technologies that they would like us to explore, we'll be more than happy to do so.
Your Excellency, thank you very much. It's been a very interesting and open conversation. I have a long list of other questions that I would have loved to share with you, but we're coming to the end of this session. It has been an honor to have you today with us. Hopefully, this is the start of many other sessions to come. We wish you the best of luck in the upcoming events with the WTO, UNCTAD, and COP. And we look forward to speaking with you again very soon. Thank you to the audience as well.
Thank you, Dr. Racha.
Thank you.